Hey guys, Luke here, Tranquility based detailing. Why percentage content of carnauba in your wax is a pointless measure? Do you even know? Do you know what's in your wax? Is it 10%, 20%, 50%, 100%? Stick with me and I'll explain in this video why it's a pointless measure, some of the tricks that these manufacturers use to try and lure you in with this measure, and what you really should look out for when you are buying a wax. If you're new to the channel, my name's Luke. The channel basically is me faffing around with detailing. If you like what you see and you want to see more, subscribe, tick the bell notification, you'll stay up to date with what we're doing. So, percentage content of carnauba in your wax. You may have seen it. A lot of manufacturers, not all of them, so as a disclaimer I'm going to say at this point, some manufacturers get this spot on. If that's you, crack on. More power to you. I respect that you're honest and you're straight with this. I need an analogy. I've always been taught analogies are the easiest way to teach things to people. You take an analogy, so I'm going to use my spotty teacup here, and I'm just going to straighten out a little bit of terminology because that's going to help for me to explain to you this whole process. So you imagine your cup of tea. You start with your tea bag. You add a lot of boiling water, you add a bit of milk, and then if there is something wrong with you, you add sugar. If you are doing that, stop adding sugar, something wrong with you. The end product is still called tea. I don't know if you ever kind of really thought about that. You start with something called tea, you manipulate it to the nth degree, add all this extra ingredients to it, and then you still call it tea at the end. You don't call it hot milky sugar water, you call it tea. And the same is true for wax. You take three elements, largely, there can be more, but simplicity, it's not bother with those. You need some solvent, you need some oil, and you need some wax. You blend these three things together, and you have an end product, which is again called wax. Here's where the ambiguity kicks in, and this is where these manufacturers, the ones that are doing this, I think are wrong to do it. But they'll start to explain their percentage content, or of their carnauba. Now, this isn't specific to carnauba. For simplicity's sake, I've chosen that because that's the most commonplace one you're going to see. But Montan's beeswaxes, the rest of it, they all apply. SiO2s even, all kind of applies into this. For simplicity's sake, with this as a description as well, we're going to pretend that we're going to make 100 ml of car wax. Now, let's say that I'm making that. So I'm brand A, I want to be all la-di-da and ostentatious. So I want a high number for my carnauba content. So I take my 100 ml and I fill 40 ml of it with oil. I fill 40 ml with solvent. I've got 20 ml left for my wax element. I'm going to put 10 ml of beeswax in there, 10 ml of carnauba. There we are, done. I've made my car wax. My car wax is a 50% carnauba wax. Now, you may be thinking at this point, you've only put 10 ml in 100 ml. How is it 50% content? Here's the thing. They're only counting that wax element, that 20 ml. And half of my 20 ml is carnauba. So, have I lied to you? Not really. Is it ethical and right? I don't think so. I think it's a little bit sharp practice. In my opinion, I don't think it's necessary. Now the problem is this, and you all know, and I think I've recently broken the 60 mark in my wax collection, or I'm there or thereabouts. And I'm not even close to some of the big collections I see here. The market is so saturated with people making waxes and things like that. So I've got 50% carnauba wax out there. Now, as we've discussed, not ethically really told you that, the 50% is just actually 10% of the overall content, but, I've done that regardless. But you're looking at my wax and you think, why do I want to buy that? Let's say, it appeals to you, the branding, so on, but you think, I'm not 100% sold on that, I'm going to shop round. So you go to competitor B. Competitor B rolls up and he says, okay, well, Luke's got 50% carnauba content wax. I need to compete, I need to be competitive. What are the two things that I can do to beat Luke? I can make mine cheaper and I can claim a higher percentage of carnauba. Now, you've got two ways to claim a higher percentage of carnauba. One is to put more in it. So let's suppose with our analogy again, we do that 40-40, 20's left for wax, and you put 11 mil or 12 mil of carnauba and then 8 mil of beeswax. So now your wax content is 60% carnauba, let's say if you put the 12 mil in. But now your cost theoretically is going to be slightly higher than mine. So you can either sell it cheaper and make less money, or sell it more and hope people want to buy your 60% car wax, not my 50% car wax. Or you can do this. You can decide to go 45 and 45 for your oil and your solvent. So now I've only got 10 mil of space left to put wax in. And I'm going to put 9 mil of carnauba in there and 1 mil of beeswax. Now I can claim to have a 90% carnauba wax, comparative to my wax, which was the 50% with 10 mil of carnauba in it. Now you're there with 9 mil of carnauba in it, but on paper it says it's 90% carnauba content. As a consumer, I understand why you would look at that and go, why the hell would I buy Luke's wax? 50% and it's more than this guy. This guy's 90% and it's cheaper because everyone loves a bargain. I'm going to buy this guy's wax. Why wouldn't you? That's common sense, is that we're all wired like that to do that. But that's the sharp practice, is that you're never really given all of the details. So if they were to say this is a 90% carnauba content by volume, by overall volume of this wax, then fine, they would make it all perfectly clear. But they're hiding behind that ambiguity, like we discussed right at the beginning, of there being wax and the overall product being called wax. And they lose in that language there. I'm at this stage now where when manufacturers do that, when they have a number, a percentage number, or they use the term high, I never really liked that. It kind of puts me off a little bit. You know what I want from my wax manufacturers, and in the position I'm in with making these videos, and a big part of me making these videos and working with this channel is I think the relationships with these guys that are making these products is key. Very, very important that, there's discussion, there's communication, there's respect. I've discussed before about people blagging freebies and treating these people like they're there to kind of gift and grant them everything. They're not. They're people paying the bills like you and me. There are a lot of people that I'm dealing with and I speak with and things like that on a regular basis that avoid all of these practices. They will use the correct language, or they will tell you essentially what is in the blend. So they might tell you it's an SiO2 blend, or it's a carnauba blend, or it's a carnauba montan blend, or it's just a montan blend. And here's the thing, when you use a lot of waxes, when you've tried and you've sampled, you will realize that a carnauba gives a different finish to a montan. A montan will give a different finish to an SiO2 wax. You've got all of these tweaks in there, and then a certain element is finding out what that manufacturer has done in order to have their wax do what it does. But they don't go around using that sharp language, this is a high content, because what does high mean? Go back to that guy that's put 9 mil in. Yes, his carnauba to beeswax content says that his carnauba is the high part of the ratio, but he's still putting less in it than I've put in mine. So it's still a little bit dodgy with the language. Really, what I would encourage you guys to do when you're shopping for a wax is look for something that appeals to you. So you're going to have a certain amount of your sensibilities that you're first going to choose with your eyes when you're shopping. You're going to look at the label and think, it's bright, I like it, or it's bright, it looks dog shit. People are wired that way. That wax is red and I really like that. And you might be the sort of guy that says that wax is red and I don't want a red wax. But you can have that certain initial element. You then may look into the price, and there's a big factor, the budget, because it's such a scope. You then may want to look at reviews. Has anyone got any feedback? How did you find it? Just simple pictures or videos or details. And then you might make your purchasing decision after you've boiled it all down. You may be the seat of the pants kind of guy where you just go, I've not tried that, I'm trying that one this time. both great options, but please, please do not be the sort of consumer that looks at wax A and wax B and says, this is 50% and this is 90%. I'm going to go with the 90% because it's higher percent and it's cheaper, because you're just kind of being sold to unethically, and it may lead you to making a choice that you're not happy with. And equally, it's going to skew your measure. You know, you might try that one at 90%, at least that's how they've offered it to you, 90%, and you might come away and think, it's all right, wasn't great. And then, you know, a reputable manufacturer might pop up and go, got this new wax, it's a Carnauba blend, and you might go, you know, I've tried a 90 and it wasn't great, so maybe Carnauba's not for me. And then you eliminate this massive part of the market, which is a shame. You're going to be missing out. Everyone else is going to be missing out because you're not going to be making those purchases with those suppliers. So please, my advice to all of you is this: ignore or question, you know, even better, question if a manufacturer is claiming a percentage Carnauba content or any other wax, question them. You know, put it to them. Okay, so the wax is 200 mil. How much of that is actually Carnauba? You know, there's a certain amount of trade secrets. I get that. You know, KFC won't tell you their secret recipe, but they've got to tell you the sodding ingredients. You know, that they're not telling you how they've assembled it up, like everything together. But, you know, they still have to say, well, you know, a big bit of it's chicken. You know, they still have to do that. And the wax manufacturers, they're not really held to that to a certain point. But if you're finding the one that maybe you are basing your decision on to be evasive, you know, they're avoiding the question or the context or anything like that, then for me that's got to put a certain element of doubt into, are these the people I want to be purchasing from? They can't even give me a straight answer. You know, it should be really, really straightforward. Either claim it and back it up and be forthright with your claim, or just stop making outlandish, bold claims to suck people in that are then basically going to taint their vision, their worldview on waxes, because it's not right. That's it. If you've enjoyed this, you want to like, you want to subscribe, please do. Share away. I showed a magic trick and it went down really, really well, and I wanted to put another magic trick out, so I thought, I'm sat at the table, grab a deck of cards, so I'll do another magic trick. So let me just bring you down. I'm going to grab the tripod here. Right, here we are. I broke the tripod a little bit, so I've had to shuffle you all around. So it's an old favourite of mine, this one. And this was a trick that was told to me, so this is a story that it's more than secondhand at this point, but it focuses on these guys playing brag. Now, if you've never played brag, don't. It's just like gambling with drunk people. But yeah, this guy told me this story about these men that were in this pub playing a game of brag, and they decided at the end of the night, or one of them did at least, that he lost too much and he wanted to cut for high card in order to try and recover some of his losses. Get those there. So he cut round and he said to the other three guys he's playing with, look, I want to cut for high card, try and recover some money, if that's all right. The other three guys agreed. Guy number one turned his card over. Immediately, everyone knew they'd been done. There were groans, there were mumbles, there were calls of cheating, but they'd agreed. So what could they do? Guy number one cut to an ace, and then to be really, really annoying to the others, he took his ace out and he handed it off. Passed the deck on to guy number two. Guy number two obviously knew it was a bit of a tall ask. You know, it was a little bit of a show off, so he went for one of these. No reason in the world to cut like that, but if you can, why not? You know, treat yourself. Didn't do it. Obviously had a bit of a tough ask to follow. Now, as the story was told to me, I don't know if this guy was senior, he was older, he was bigger, who knows. But he took a second go. And I know it's not the done thing when you're playing cut and fire card. But on his second go, managed to recover the situation somewhat, and he cut to his ace. He then rather smugly took his ace out as well. Passed the deck on to the third guy, and the third guy was dead calm. He measured his cut out, cut again, and then when everyone thought he was going to turn the top one over, he turned the bottom one over instead. Again at this point, because everyone else was doing it, he took his card out, put it to one side as well. The final guy knew that really stood no chance. So the guy was telling me, said, you know, obviously only had one ace left. And I said to him, well, you know, they've all cut to the ace of spades. You know, how many ace of spades are in the deck? But this is as the story's told me, so I've always just copied it verbatim. Final guy said, look, I'm going to go through, I'm going to pick my card. What do you want me to do? You know, you're picking aces, ace, 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 I'm going to go through. And the other guy said, no, you can't do that. It's not cutting for high card. The guy went, all right, I'll make it difficult. I'll go with them face down. So he started to pan through the cards face down. The guys waited with bated breath. And when the guy found his card, the other guys moaned and grumbled, but what could they do? Now I said to my friend when he told me this, figure this out, they're all the ace of spades. And he said, no, they're not, look, they can't be. It's all a different deck. Everything is different, you know, every card there. So I said to him, well, then someone's rigged the deck, you know, he's 4 ace of spades. And he said, no, again, that's just for the way I saw it. I can only tell you what I saw. So I decided I'm going to have to change the story. I've told it many times and people always say to me, Luke, I don't believe it. I don't believe they all cut to the ace of spades. So I changed it. The easiest way I knew how was I decided that the final guy was going to win with his ace of spades. Because the ace of spades, as a card goes, it outranks the ace of diamonds, it outranks the ace of clubs, and it outranks the ace of hearts. That way, final guy wins, I'm happy, the story makes sense. I've told it a million times and no one's ever told me off about that. That's it. If you've enjoyed this episode and you don't mind me looking up at you at this camera, like, subscribe, share, ask if there's a topic you want me to cover and I will do my best to get on it. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.